Today, I'm going to be talking to you about Volume 1 of Fire Punch. Before we dive into this, I do want to let you guys know that there are going to be some spoilers, but I'm going to try and keep them at a minimum, so I'm issuing a light spoiler warning for this video. Without further ado, let's dive into Volume 1 of Tatsuki Fujimoto's Fire Punch. So starting with the cover design, I personally think that this is a really cool design for the cover. I think that the design of the main character who's on the cover and is named Agni is unbelievably cool. It gives off really a dark vibe, which is to be expected. If you guys know anything about Tatsuki Fujimoto, and I think it does a really good job of getting the reader ready for everything that they're about to read in this crazy first volume of this manga. If I had to rate it out of 10, I would give it a solid 8.5. I really like this cover. So moving on to the plot and the characters, we have quite a bit to get to. I'm just gonna go over the prologue for you guys real quick. Again, gonna try and keep it as spoiler free as possible, but I think knowing the prologue and knowing everything that happens with it, that sets the story up, is important to know. So we begin the story meeting the main character Agni along with his younger sister whose name is Luna. And we learn very quickly that there are these people called blessed in the world. They live in a world that is covered in snow as well, and that is because there is a blessed named the Ice Queen, or the Ice Witch, who is causing an eternal winter, essentially. And we learn that Agni and Luna are both blessed as well, and they have the power of regeneration. It should be noted that Agni's power is significantly stronger than Luna. He cuts off his arm, and it's back in a second. She cuts off her arm, and it takes like an hour to repair. So they're definitely different in terms of like power level. We see that Agni cuts his arms off for food and fuel for the other villagers, as he can regrow it super easily. We then kind of fast forward a little bit and we see that a plane full of soldiers lands and a man named Doma gets out and talks to Agni, asking whether or not there are any blessed in the town. Agni says no. These soldiers are here to commandeer and take food and supplies and rations and fuel and other stuff like that, and they are from a large city. So we see as Doma and the other soldiers are about to leave, they discover Agni's body parts that he cut off in the houses. The soldiers and Doma are like, yeah, you guys are cannibals. We can't leave you to just, be out here killing people and stuff like that. And Doma is a blessed as well, and his ability is that he lights things on fire and they will not stop burning until that fuel is out. So essentially he catches you on fire and you burn forever, essentially. It's like Amaterasu from Naruto, if you guys know what that is. So essentially he uses that to burn that to the ground. We then see Agni and Luna both survive for at least a little while. Luna does eventually die because her regenerative abilities are not as powerful as Agni's, and with her dying breath she tells him to live on. After this we see it takes like 8 years for Agni to learn to control the flames that Doma has put onto him, because he can regenerate and that fuel never burns out. He never dies, which is crazy. And eventually he turns into this guy on the cover, absolutely sick looking. And yeah, I believe it takes like 8 years for him to master it. Now we kind of do an 8-year time jump to chapter 1 here. We meet a number of different characters, and one of the main side characters that we're introduced to is a young boy named Sun, who is a blessed as well. His thing is like shock. So if he touches you, he can shock you and kind of like paralyze you and stun you for a little bit. Sun gets captured and brought to a massive city. That massive city, I believe it's called Behemdorg, if I'm not mistaken, and he's set there to serve as a slave for wealthy people. And that's pretty much all I can give you guys without spoiling too much, but I do want to tell you that it's like exceptionally dark manga. Like if you guys know Fujimoto, like his stuff is dark. This is darker than anything I've ever read. Within this first volume alone, there's conversations about like bestiality, sexual assault comes up a number of times, among a whole bunch of other stuff. So definitely brace yourself if you're thinking about getting into this manga. It's very good, I will say, but it's very dark for sure, especially for a first volume. Kind of just comes at you, introduces you to this world, and you're like, all right, this is where we're at. But if you want to read something that's maybe a little bit less dark, still dark, but not as dark, by Fujimoto, then Chainsaw Man could definitely be up your alley. I know a lot of you guys are probably like, I've definitely heard Fujimoto before. This is what he did before Chainsaw Man, so this is the series that essentially precedes it. Not in the same world, obviously, but So when looking at bang for your buck, I think this is a good and crazy introduction to a universe by Fujimoto. You get 8 chapters, and it spans 208 pages. It does a really, a lot of great world building, for sure. That's something that I definitely would say is a strength of this particular volume. You can get this volume of the manga on Amazon for $12.99, which is a little bit more expensive than a manga would usually be, but I definitely think it's worth picking up if you're prepared for a dark and crazy story. I don't think in the way that sometimes people say that the darkness takes away from Berserk. I think it just kind of makes this world a little bit more crazy, and it's okay, it's like a post-apocalyptic wasteland where the wealthy people are just doing the most messed up things that you can imagine, essentially. So like a Hunger Games-esque type of vibe, but take it to if Hunger Games was R-rated, essentially. So overall, I'm gonna rate this volume of the manga a 9 out of 10. I think it's a really, really good introduction to the world. I think that a lot of the characters that we do get to meet are exceptionally interesting. They all have different motivations for different things, which is really interesting to see in this world, that's been covered by snow and stuff like that. Again, this post-apocalyptic world that we see, it's just crazy. I'm very excited to pick up the second volume. I have not read through this entire story yet. So like I just got done reading this and I wrote up the script for this video, so I'm very excited to get the second volume. Really crazy. But there we have it. I hope you guys like this video. If you did, please drop a like, subscribe, and comment. Jujutsu Kaisen content will be coming back. I'm just trying to filter in and out, see if different things work, essentially. So this is going to be my first foray into something non-Jujutsu Kaisen on this channel. There we go. If you guys like this video, please drop a like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you guys want to see next. Love you all. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.